It's a holiday season, which means you're likely worried about money, but we're here to help you be thrifty and talk about how you can save money in your scouting journey. Stay tuned. If you're new to this channel, we're on a mission to inspire and inform new scouting parents and adult leaders to have robust programs for their scouts. Today, we're going to give you some ideas about how to save money or make better purchasing decisions when buying items for your scouts.
Save money?
Absolutely.
We're also going to highlight who mostly benefits from each tip, such as a parent would benefit from this tip, or a unit leader or a unit would benefit from this tip. Number one, which is one of the most common ones, is buying a new uniform with room to grow. This tip mostly benefits scouting parents. In my previous video, I said that the startup costs associated with scouting can be a barrier because it can equal to about $400 or $500 depending on your unit and your spending habits. What can be even more disappointing is if you purchase a new uniform and then 6 months later the buttons are about to give out because your scout has outgrown it.
That guy in a little coat.
A recommendation I make to all new parents, and you'll likely be told this when you go to any scout shop in person, is to size up the scout's uniform. For example, if your scout is a size 6/7, look to go to an 8 or 9 or larger, that way they have some room to grow into it. I bought this uniform for my scout back in 2020 when he was a lion, and he wore it up until this summer, and that's about 4-ish years of use. Buying the larger uniform gives your scouts room to grow, making the uniform last a little bit longer, because it saves time and it saves money in having to purchase new patches or swapping these old ones over to a new uniform. This is one of the most common tips, and ironically, it is one of the topics of conversation that occurred this week in a live meeting that I attended with another scouting YouTuber called Scouter Stan. He's got some outstanding content, and I'll include a link up here for you guys to go ahead and check him out. But staying with uniforms, tip number 2 is going to be only wearing the whole uniform when it is appropriate. And this recommendation is aimed at the unit and unit leaders. Now, the uniform is one of the methods of scouting, but that does not mean that you have to wear the blue or tan shirt to every single function. This should kind of go without saying, but you don't need to wear everything with your uniform every single time. One way to save money is to only wear the items such as the neckerchief and slide, or the Cub Scout Adventure loops and pins, or other items that can rip or tear the shirt when it's absolutely necessary. Like, you don't want to have to lose these items, you don't want to have to replace them constantly. These are great things to wear during flag ceremonies or during award ceremonies, especially with the Cub Scouts during the bridge over, but they don't need to be worn to every single meeting. That way, when the kids are running around, you're not worried about them tearing a shirt or losing like a neckerchief slide or something along those lines. Also, bonus tip for parents, you don't need to buy the official scouting pants.
What?
I've never seen a unit that is not a belt-up unit, which means that everything from the belt up should be in uniform. So save the money and buy some good pants that can be worn outside of scouts as well.
Pants! Blue pants!
For weekly meetings, you can set the standard of wearing either a uniform top, and when you're doing something that's a little bit more dirty or physical, you can go ahead and elect to wear a Class B t-shirt. That saves on the wear and tear of the uniform, because when these uniforms are taken care of, they last a long time. How long, you may ask? This is my actual scouting uniform from when I pinned on Eagle, which according to that plaque on the wall, was 20 years ago last month.
How old are you?
Old.
Yep.
Now, there are 2 points that I can make from wearing this uniform for you all. 1, I still fit in my clothes from high school.
Sometimes I hate that guy.
Do with that information what you will. And number 2, purchasing quality items can save you money in the long run. Which brings us to our next tip, which is consider the quality and longevity of an item when purchasing. This recommendation applies to both scout units, adult leaders, and scouting parents. There's an old philosophy of buying once and crying once.
New money always cries.
And that has to do with this idea that sometimes the cheaper option is cheaper for a reason.
This thing is a piece of...
You can buy a cheaper flashlight, but if it breaks after 3 months and you go back and have to return it and have to repurchase it, You're just buying the same thing twice. Now, the flip side of this is also true. Just because something is expensive does not mean that it's good. You should always be looking at the quality of an item when making a decision. Before I purchase any large items such as those I talk about in this video here, I do a ton of research to ensure I'm making the best decision possible. I hate having buyer's remorse. And I've also learned over the years, I don't need the most top-of-the-line gadget when I'm just simply going out and camping with Cub Scouts. For example, I do not need an ultra-lightweight tent if I'm just walking from the parking lot to the campsite. I can save some money, purchase a heavier tent which I get my use out of for the next couple of years. Because to save money in the long run, you have to look at the cost of the item versus the number of uses. If you're only going tent camping once a year, do you really need a $1,000 tent?
Don't tell me how to live my life.
Especially when you have some stellar options from places like Walmart or REI, but we'll talk about that here in a minute. I use the following process when looking to purchase a larger item. First, I determine what is the need. As an example, I'm going to say that I need a new sleeping bag. Number 2, what conditions am I likely to encounter? Let's see, I do spring, summer, and some fall camping with the Cub Scouts, but I'm likely to start doing some winter camping once my son bridges over to Scouts BSA. How often will I realistically be using the item? Camping once a quarter with the Cub Scouts, maybe bi-monthly with Scouts BSA. Do I already have this item, and if I do, what condition is it in? Can it be repaired? I have a modular sleeping bag, but it's 15 years old and the zipper is torn. If the answer is no to that final step, I start looking at the available options and recommendations on YouTube. Because if you don't know, YouTube is the second largest search engine in the world, second only to its parent company, Google. And channels such as us at the Roaming Scouter provide advice and recommendations free of charge. All we ask is that you hit the like and subscribe button. It's all free to you and helps us reach a larger audience. Also, if you have some scouting friends, please share this video with them so we can inspire and inform new scouting parents and adult leaders across the nation. Finally, with it being the holidays, we have made some holiday-specific recommendations in the description. And because the Scout is honest, these are Amazon affiliate links, which means if you click on the link and purchase something from Amazon within the next 24 hours, not just the items that we recommend, we receive a small commission, and that helps grow the channel so that we can go places to do our next tip, which is thrift and shop for some deals. Being thrifty and shopping for deals, this recommendation is for scouting parents and adult leaders, and this one is pulled directly from the Scout Law. It should be no surprise that thrifting and shopping around would be on this list. However, because we want to provide the best information possible to new scouting parents, I felt it was necessary to include this one. Now, when I'm saying thrifting, I mean being on the lookout for the best deals and treasures in the trash. You can go to a local Goodwill or thrift shop and find some pretty stellar equipment that may just need a bit of cleaning, maybe a new zipper or a patch or two. I also tend to visit a few places every so often to look for some deals on equipment. One such place is REI. REI Co-op gets some flack for being a little overpriced on camping equipment, but as I stated earlier, sometimes there's a cost associated with quality. One reason I shop at REI is for their garage sales. REI has a fantastic return policy. And no, this video is not sponsored by REI, but hey, REI. If you do not like something or there's an issue with an item that you've purchased through REI, they'll usually take it back. Once they get the item back, they'll put it back up for sale as an as-is sale in the garage sale, with the tan tag on it with the problem. And sometimes it's funny just to read the reasons that people have returned the items. I once saw a tag that said, "Wife tried camping, does not recommend," as the reason for the return. I've purchased a couple of tents and some other equipment through the garage sale, and since 2020, the garage sale have changed from a monthly or quarterly event to a kind of standard rack in the back of the store. Now, you do have to join REI's co-op, which means you're going to pay a one-time fee for a lifetime membership of $30. And they give you 10% back at the end of each year in the form of a dividend. Usually it comes in the mail, or if you go in and you put your phone number in, they'll be able to pull it up and say, hey, you've got a credit of this much, which can help save money in the long run. And before anyone asks, no, you don't need to apply for their credit card to get any of these extra benefits. I think this is a great option simply because you get some good name brand equipment like this GoPro mount that I got from there, simply because somebody didn't want it and returned it, so I get 50% off of it and that saves me a ton of money. But name brand shouldn't be the only thing that we're after. For example, do not discount brands such as Kirkland or Ozark Trail, which is Walmart's camping brand. There are some gear snobs out there, and I can tell you that Ozark Trail can make some quality items for a reasonable price. They kind of hit that balance of quality and price, especially for new scouting parents looking to grow their gear inventory. When it comes to items like flashlights, cookers, and tents, Walmart is where 90% of scouts are going to get their equipment from, especially new parents and new scouts. If you're doing a 50-miler in the Rockies, REI and some ultralight equipment, that's going to be you guys all the way. If you're going to be camping with a roaming scouter and my Cub Scout pack, then we're going to be hauling Ozark Trail from the parking lot over to the campsite. Finally, look for deals in clearance areas at like home improvement stores such as Lowe's. I go there because I find things like this. So you can get a couple of things like these kind of cheap flashlights, and they're great for scouts if you are dealing with somebody who's a little bit younger and maybe loses something. This right here is relatively inexpensive. If they lose it, it's not a big deal, and you can go ahead and buy some new ones. Some of things like headlamps is the same thing. If your scout gets them and uses them and then ends up breaking them and losing them, it's a lot less than, let's say, a headlamp that's worth like $175, and it gives them a chance to take care of their equipment, but also saving you a couple of dollars. There's also a place to get some tools. Now, these probably aren't going to be the best ones or in the best condition, but if you're just trying to teach your scouts about basic home repair or how to use certain tools, or even hosting a workshop for Pinewood Derby, these might be some better options just so you have multiple tools that, if they break, they weren't exactly expensive to purchase. But hey, this is not an all-inclusive list. If you think we forgot something, or you want to add some other recommendations, or you have a question, please leave it down in the comments below. Also, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and share this with your scouting friends. As always, I've been Matt with the Roaming Scouter, and I'll see you out there.